Hey, yeah, that's all.
This time I'd like to call the meeting to order. Be a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Yeah.
Please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, is there any public comment?
Mitch goes to me. Just real briefly here. I just wanted to express some disappointment with the motion that was made at the evening service or evening meeting last time, where one supervisor is meeting with the lawyers and bringing it back. The meeting prior to that, when the idea came up, it was said that Jacob could be on one of those committees, and then attached to the motion was that the other two supervisors would be the ones on those committees. As a patron of the county, I guess I want to express that I see an importance in Jacob being involved in every step, and the three of you being involved in every step. Felt like the meeting before, the comments were, Jacob, you could be on that committee or that committee, and then in the motion itself was, never mind. And so I'm just here to express disappointment in that, and not just disappointment, but I saw that as just wrong. So anyway, that's all.
Okay, thanks, Mitch. Anyone else this time wish to speak? Okay, JD, I think you're up. Engineers update.
Morning, JD King, Craig County Engineer. I'm pleased to be here today. Let me out. And the update went out yesterday afternoon with Matt. And we're just discussing that informally during the update. A few comments about the gravel connectors. With the rain over the weekend, the blades are out. We're hauling rock with 3 trucks. Yesterday we had 2 mowers. Today we have 3 mowers going. Spray pressure crew is coming to the end of the oil and the season. And they're over east on East River Road in East River Township in Cannon. Pipe crew. I saw them today, they're hauling material for auction purposes up to Red Oak. They've taken out the bridge at Kiwi on Kiwi Avenue, and we're waiting a large pipe. Don't have an update on that yet this week, but the last correspondence we had with the tank car folks were the week of the 19th. That's this week. Motivator number 8 is in Atlantic with a leak somewhere in the engine transmission connection. The ram for the bucket cylinder on the old boat is in Altoona. They're figuring out if they can repair it or if they need to manufacture a new ram. We're beginning services on our plow trucks in anticipation of the winter. We've got one tandem in there now. We'll continue to rotate through our trucks for prepping them for winter. We won't suit them up with winter equipment yet, but we're doing regular service. Single axle trucks was a Hawkeye truck equipment, and it's now over at RDO in Omaha at the dealer, getting prepped for delivery. And the tandem axle truck replaced the wrecked truck is in the shop at Hawkeye truck equipment. A little snafu with the box, and we're hoping to receive that truck back to us in October. So it's been in the shop and had a few more things to do in the shop. On the engineering side, work continues on the Stanton Road today. The road's closed while the guardrail crew puts on the corner guardrail on the north bridge. The approach work on the north bridge is completed last week. And we're in contact with Henningsen folks to do when they're going to come in and do the patching. I don't have a date on that yet, but that'll occur get this fall. I've got a maintenance crew coming in. They've been here several days on J64 doing a maintenance project, resealing joints on that PC. That's to help keep the water out and keep the grade solid. We've done that work on J64 west of M48 to the county line. We've done M48 north of Boyne and south of Boneworth. And we take these in chunks. Can't do it all at once because of the cost, but we work along. It's not glitzy stuff, but it's important maintenance stuff for the payment. If you'll turn your attention to our gravel connector map, there's 6 locations. This idea came from Jacob. He said, hey, what about gravel and some roads that would connect things and use ARPA money? That's a great idea. And I talked to my road superintendent. He identified some roads, and I'll just give a brief overview. We'll start at the one up north near Coburg and go in a clockwise direction. So that's up on, takes from 105th to the county line. That the north-south connector between 48 and D Avenue. There's nothing going north and south. It's rock. One south of Hepburn, which is S Avenue. It's there's a short piece of dirt in amongst a whole bunch of rock, and 160th Street was petitioned for rock back when I first came to Page County, and so now it's kind of an orphan stretch of dirt. It's an inconvenience for the. I mean, he's blading in, you know, after a rain or something when we like to blade, and he gets up to this stretch on S, and he can't go through because it's not rock. They have to backtrack, so it's kind of an inconvenience or a headache for the district operator. I'll jump into Middle County there on L Avenue. Once again, a short piece of dirt that connects north-south. You know, you have to go west to M56, which is known which is no Jewel. If you go north, and otherwise you have to come up on Ham Avenue. In East River Township on 240th Street. Go, you know, that ties things east and west. Otherwise, go east and west, you have to go up to 2 or down to 250th. So there's a 3.5 mile stretch there that this east-west connector would aid out of distance travel. And then down northeast of College Springs, we've looked at P and also looked at Q, and we're going to recommend Q for this. It's a little bit longer stretch, but it doesn't have the high banks on the west that could be a snow problem should the weather dictate. Now, taken all together, this is 4.2 miles. Our petition road policy calls for 1,200 tons of the mile. We're doing petition roads, and I will submit that this is similar to that. We shouldn't shortchange ourselves, or we shouldn't ask more of a landowner petitioning for rock than for us. So at 1,200 tons per mile turns out just a little over 5,000 ton, and 5,000 ton at $26 a ton, which is what we bought rock at last, which is not current price, but it's a benchmark. We did that this spring with farm market hall, if I recall it. So that turns into $130,000. So if we pursue, you know, if this is approved or proceed with this, we'll need to update this number, but that's a ballpark. You know. Annual maintenance on a gravel road. Let's see, I don't know. There's a study out there that has that cost per mile, but I don't have off the top of my head. We just incorporate this in with our other miles.
Okay, in most cases, wouldn't the maintenance actually be just continuation on the road? So it probably would mean.
Well, we're adding miles, so
Yeah.
it'll take a little more rock.
Right.
The blading will be about the same, perhaps a little gravel. If you, anything else about the gravel connectors? No.
I think it's a real good idea. Because there's lots of areas you go in miles between
Right.
connection. We're actually taking a step forward, making things, we're progressing in the county
Right,
instead of
right.
regressing.
You know, the dirt roads in Page County break up the system,
Yeah.
you know, quite severe, severe. And it's inconvenient. You got to think about how, you know, what the last rain was. Reroute yourself based on the weather.
How many miles of dirt do we have in the county currently, JD?
Ballpark 120, 150.
Okay.
I think that's right.
So what, you and Jeff kind of selected these? as-
Correct. You know, there's more that could be done, of course, but this would be our initial stab.
Based on what, anticipated traffic flow, traffic counts in those areas?
What would make sense to connect stuff together.
You don't have
That
to
was
go
our primary.
miles and miles to get around. I mean.
So
you have to have
as an
lines.
example, this was the one down on College Springs. It was evident to me that when I did fog seal on J52 east of College Springs, that there was no good way to get around.
Right.
When you go east there, and this road went through, then the next one's dirt to the north, and the next one's dirt to the south, and there's just no, you couldn't cross it very often. That's one of the things about Q. Q would then run from Duncan Road, J52 connects up J64 all the way down to the Missouri line. You aid in north-south travel. So, you know, there's no, some of these places, there's no all-weather ways around things. It's causes you to reroute and go out of distance travel.
And it's nice that this, you look for the trouble areas all over the place. They're scattered out everywhere.
Right now, you may notice that there's not anything in the southwest border of the county, but the reason for that is I anticipate that the wind project will end up putting rock on some of these dirts, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Whether let them return to dirt or continue to keep maintenance, keep them up there. A few more things from the update then. Jeff Sherlock, our road superintendent's offered to a workshop conference this afternoon, Wednesday, and Thursday. Keep himself updated on things. He was the road superintendent's good at professional development for him. Working on project development at the office. Just a reminder, about a month from now, we'll have the October letting when Essex Bridge is be let, and we'll see how that comes out. Got questions for me?
If we were to move forward with this rock, those 4.2 miles, how fast would that be done?
I need,
Or could it be done, I should say.
we can do a local letting and, you know, post it for a couple of weeks. We can do the paperwork ourselves. Just pay, you know, as long as we've been here, we have one bidder. If the rules for ARPA are such that it needs to be a competitive bid, which I would imagine it does, or theoretically we could contract with, you know, get a request a quote for so many tons of rock from Shilberg, all ourselves keep track of the time for the bill, or hire an outside contractor to place it. It's, you know, 5,000 tons. It's small compared to what we normally haul for contract rock.
And these roads have been dirt forever. If it takes us a little while to get it done ourselves, it's not a big deal. Just start doing it as we
But
can.
we need to tie up this ARPA money.
Yeah, it's labeled to go towards it.
Yeah.
How much dirt work needs to be done on the roads before you?
Some of them need a little dirt work, some of them don't. Some of them are. The 240th has been worked over recently. Same as with him. Having these little work that probably see how it up like Fort Essex is one of these. More work on it. We'd probably do this in two phases, not put on 1,200 tons all at once, put on some and then put on some more again.
Break it up.
You're right, you know, incorporate some so you're not wading through
Yeah.
6 inches of rock. So, no, it's not on the agenda today.
Right. Yeah, the only question I would have, you know, it's about what, 4% of our dirt. We've chosen about 4% of our dirt. And I'm guessing, and I understand your thinking, it's the southwest part of the county with a proposed wind project. But you take the southwest portion out, you know, there's a lot of other scatterings there that I just wonder if we should think a little bigger than 4.2 miles.
Yeah, I don't mind at all, because you compare it, it's a lot of money, but compared to what we're spending on.
Well, you know,
Piece
give
of
me
parts on the courthouse.
give me a budget, or give me a budget number and we can,
Yeah, I don't know what that
we
is.
can flex.
When we were looking at it, I told you, it's find the most strategic places we can do this to make a difference.
So that, you know,
That's all I said.
that's where we started from.
And I think it's start, I guess the only question is, out of 120 miles, we've chosen 4.2. Are we sure that we're thinking big enough? I mean, are there other areas that you can make a case that it would add, the convenience.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. We could expand this if needed.
But there's no break on the deal for rock. They don't care if you buy 5,000 pounds or 10,000 pounds.
Or 20,000, no.
Well, I guess before I'd be ready to vote on, I'd like to know a proposal of, kind of if you can get the bid, kind of at $26, see what's happened since you last bought it, get a
Right, it may
ballpark.
be 28.
Yeah, and then figure out if you could maybe give us another 4 or 5 miles as phase 2 or phase
Okay.
3, and then we'll see how many dollars you'd want to allocate to it.
So you're talking $250,000 then?
Huh?
$250,000 worth of dollars? Right?
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the right number is. I think that, I think as soon as you do this, you're gonna have people who have that dirt that they're driving around saying, well, why not me? And so I guess I'd like to investigate another tier. You guys are out on the roads every day, so these are the pinch points, the most critical ones, and I trust that. But I'm guessing that some that haven't been selected are considered by those people as real pinch points. So if we could get a phase 2 or whatever plan to consider, I don't know. Sure, maybe making it too complicated, but 4.2 miles out of 120 miles of dirt isn't a very big dent.
I sure like the idea of making more connections and practical, like we're going forward in time here. We're
Yeah, but
Page County's taking a step forward, and there's probably some others that could be added.
But to Melissa's point, I think your best guess on what the annual maintenance is gonna cost per mile on these added roads. I know on some,
Well,
it's
it's
probably
the
gonna
same
save.
as the other roads.
Yeah,
Right,
okay,
it'll
it's
save
gonna
us
save.
dead
a little-
heading somewhere.
Huh?
It'll save us heading around somewhere.
They go so far that they have to dead back.
Yeah.
It doesn't connect.
So you're gonna save that, but then you're gonna have some extra cost in rock.
Rock,
And-
Right.
So just a ballpark, you don't have to be rocket science, but tell us kind of what a mile of road costs us to
Mhm.
maintain.
Anything else for me?
No, sir.
That's good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shady.
Glad to see you.
Welcome back. Okay, next item up is discuss approve special Clarinda school election first tier canvas. Oh, one short pass.
Sorry, Jacob. There's only 2. You 3
Oh,
have to
oh,
buy it
nope,
over.
nope, here, get both, Jacob.
Okay.
This is gonna take a long time.
Lengthy. Remind me what to do.
You can moderate this, Jacob. Right.
So this was for the Clarinda school election held on September 13th. This is, there was only the Clarinda Lead Library precinct in their absentee. So whoever has Clarinda, if you just want to read it, it was yes, no.
Okay, so this would be the one at the library.
Correct.
Okay, we have yes, 82 votes, no, 18.
Who was the other one? Jacob?
I do. Yeah, all right, we have yes, 17. This is Clarinda Community School District.
Mhm.
Yes, 17, no, 0, undervote 1, overvote 1.
All right.
Okay, that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, that's
Thank you.
Wow, this is a little
These are
simpler.
good.
This is a little simpler than the last one, huh? Okay, so this time we need to make a motion to approve the special Clarinda school election first tier canvas. Be a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, this one was a little easier.
Did we miss Tom Wagner's deal? JD review.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I guess, I'm sorry. Tom Wagner had a question yet about M63 concerns. I know you've been in contact with Tom.
Is he on the phone?
Not that I see. Tom, are you there?
I didn't see him earlier. I know that JD has been in contact. I've seen some side notes from that. I don't know, Jacob, if you heard anything new in the last few days?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I think things got clear air in the last 10 days. So,
I will say this, last night picked up our EMA vehicle, which is now back from Omaha, been garaged in Red Oak. So I drove it, and I was sure glad to get back to Page County on smooth pavement. That road in Montgomery is just rougher than a cob right now. So, and for what it's worth.
okay, next item up is to discuss approved window project proposal number 2, locks and glass type.
Yeah, so James stepped in last week and visited with me about a few changes in addition. And basically, a few of these items they're called air conditioning locks for the second and third floor, but basically they're security locks. So those windows won't be able to open. It's an additional $15.21 for those. And then as well for the first and basement floors, it's a limited opening hardware. And so that's $3,172. And that's basically also to control how far those windows can open. And then also they'll have like a key system. So then only individuals who are supposed to be able to access and open those windows can. So, and then the third part of this there was basically 2 different things. There was a bronze low E glass lighting, and then there was a sun defense. Both of them look really similar. The price was within, I think, $300 or $400 of each other. The sun defense low E would actually help more with our heating and cooling systems and provide more efficiency there. And that was for $55.19. So this includes adding sets of locks and sun defense.
So the total cost of all those changes, $15,148.19.
Yeah.
The standard lock is like any window like they are right now, just a pivot point where they tie together, right? That's what you're doing away with some kind of a lock.
Yes, this will make it so second and third floor, no one can actually go up there and open them themselves, which for security purposes, we feel like we need something, because if not, when you put these new windows in, the rest of our windows have at some point been silicone shut. These would not be, so these would, if we don't put anything, they would be able to go up. And if anybody at some point decided to exit the building that way, they would be able to. So this would secure that they could not do that. So, sorry, I have a gnat, I'm not just looking at you all.
I think those, when we had our Homeland Security audit, I think those points were mentioned in there as well.
And then the sun defense actually is going to have a cost savings on the fact that it's going to help our heating and cooling systems, which especially up on third and second floor, as it gets hotter in the summer. I mean, you guys have been in here in the summer, this room can run significant, which if we add that, it'll just add an extra element to the windows and hopefully help more with that.
So this came from the project manager?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, at one point we looked at a different security, I can't remember the terminology for it, screen or whatever, but it had some major reflection potentially to it. And so the concern was if we did that, if it would create a mirror and impact the rest of the businesses around the square.
Oh.
And so the sun defense actually has a really nice look to it. It doesn't
Reflect.
yeah, so, and it would help with the heating and cooling, which for our efficiency would be extremely helpful, especially in the summer months. So it gets pretty hot, especially on the third floor.
Any other questions?
And for a huge project, the $10,455 didn't seem extreme to do. And this would be for all of them, it's not just the
Right.
third floor, but it would make them all have that sun defense on them.
When they were designing the windows, the locks, they didn't think about the locks, what they were gonna do, different kinds of locks.
That wasn't something initially that had been asked for by the county. But I think after talking, we had talked later about the security issues potentially that could result in.
Kind of like any construction project, best laid plans, you're gonna find some changes along the way. I make a motion to approve the proposal number 2 on locks and glass type in the amount of 15,148.19.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve this window project proposal number 2 for $15,148.19. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
see Tom Wagner's on.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, can anybody hear me?
Sir.
Can anybody hear me?
I hear you fine.
You do hear me?
Yeah.
Was that a yes, Alan?
Yes, I said yes twice. I'm sorry.
Can you not
Okay.
hear us?
If I can speak briefly, it's about the $3.36 million project on M63. The news media reported that because of string line, I said that incorrect profile is at the end of the project. I notified them that I never said such a thing. That is far from correct. Anyway, that string line checked the deviation the pavement profile has from the detail on the plan. The plan for that project will be 1 year tomorrow. It has been almost 90 days since I have asked the engineer if something was going to be done. We keep hearing fix, fix, fix. No plan. The detail needs to be followed. The incorrect pavement needs to be gone. The correct profile as the plan detail. I got a recent email last week. I responded to it. No answer. I said, there's been one mistake made. You do not make a second mistake to try and cover up the first mistake. I asked how many areas, because there's more than 20 on that project that has excess bitumen bleeding up through the surface. How many have been identified? No answer. I said the answer on one email was, we might mill wider. You need to get to the bottom of the source. I questioned, what is the depth? What is the width of milling? The engineer has not answered that. So it has been almost 90 days. Nothing. No plan. If the plan is not going to be followed by the engineer's office, then you better get an engineering firm in, get to the bottom of the unacceptable pavement areas, define the limits that needs to be removed, and make sure that end of project detail is followed as per plan that was dated September 21 of 2021. Last week, all 3 supervisors said needed to be fixed right. I would say nothing should proceed until there is a defined and definite plan of action acceptable to be taken to correct the unacceptable work on that project. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Well, do we have a plan to go back and follow the plan? Have you told Henningson's that, or?
I've got with contractor Henson, we can fix the transition at the county line and make it smooth.
Yeah, you want the microphone, please?
I have spoken with the contractor, Henningsen, and we will fix transition at the county line and make it smooth.
And you had mentioned earlier, we don't have a date yet from Henningsen.
Correct.
But as I,
Be this fall.
Tom's question is that, would be my question to you, is it gonna follow the plan they were supposed to do when they built the road?
We're gonna look at the profile and see the best way to fix it. So it may not.
No, there's no addendum, was there, JD, to that plan dated September 21 of 2021? And you emailed me that you've got to check profiles. What have you been doing for the last 364 days?
The reason there's a dip there and a bump is because what was done that didn't, wasn't right. So we're gonna change it, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna smooth it up.
JD, there's no dip there until that 2 layers of hot mix was placed. Four people witnessed the deviation from that end of plan. That's why there is a dip, period.
We'll look at the profile and see what to do.
Thanks, JD.
Thank you.
Thanks, JD. Okay, next item up is to discuss approve Dr. Chase Brown as Page County Medical Examiner. Anything on that you could share with us, sir, Melissa?
Yeah, so our 2 medical investigators have actually already talked to Dr. Chase Brown, and I myself have reached out to him as well. This would not replace Dr. Barley. He would still be on there. Dr. Barley's having some health issues. And so this would be to bring Dr. Brown on as well. And so then we actually would have 2 currently right now. But this would allow then, if Dr. Barley is unavailable or out of the area at the time, we do have a timely matter in place when they have cremations where they need someone to be here and be able to sign off on those death certificates quickly.
Okay.
So this would assist with that process, and also to allow them, we would have then 1 in Clarinda, 1 in Shenandoah as well, which would sometimes be nice. So depending on where they're at, have a situation or something. So this would be a formality that then we could let the state medical examiner's office know, and then they would work on some trainings.
So for clarification, adding Dr. Chase Brown adds no expense to the county because our medical examiner is paid on
A case
on
by
the
case.
incidents.
The only additional expense would be the trainings
Oh, okay.
that he would undergo, but those are usually fairly minimal. And even with that too, we still have, we like to keep the individuals up to
Sure.
date on trainings anyway, so they still are, we still pay for trainings anyways for the different individuals when their certificate, I don't know if they call them certificates, or when they're up and need additional training.
Well,
You want to make one?
I'll make a motion, we approve Dr. Chase Brown, Page County Medical Commission Examiner, I mean.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You bet.
Thank you.
Tell him things.
But I mean, they get paid, but it's kind of, it's not,
No.
they're not getting rich.
No.
It's a nice service that we get.
Discuss approve August 1st cutoff for new hires to participate in the wellness program. We'll just do each one individually. Or do you want to talk about it at the same time?
Well,
Because they kind of correlate.
to me, I'm surprised when I saw it on there as 2, because in my mind, it's one thing, but, yeah, ISAC, when this board made a rule about eligibility or made a rule to keep new employees from incurring a 5% surcharge on their health the next year, they had to complete ISAC requirements. Well, that program has changed and so have the dates. So basically what happens if you get an employee who is, they're hired after August 1st, they can't, for 30 days, they can't get on ISAC. And then it in essence gives it 30 days to get their requirements done.
Right.
That's probably not reasonable. Plus by doing that, then it counts too against the county on our incentive as a group. So the wellness committee wanted us to change the language or what have you, given the change in the ISAC program and how they pay their incentives. So to me, it's all really.
Okay. So basically their recommendation is to change the August 1st cutoff date.
Yes.
Okay. Any other recommendations that they had from the?
That meeting occurred 3 weeks ago. I was trying to think what.
I don't remember seeing.
What date do they want?
I think it was July 1, but I would ask them to submit. Let me call Ann downstairs. She's the chair. Figure out how to get out. I'll call her on my cell phone. It wouldn't give me an outline. Maybe it is August 1st and it had been October 1st.
Yeah, I believe
No,
that.
that's it.
Yeah, I think that was the difference.
Yeah, Kristen, is Ann available? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. She just ran downstairs, so that was the deal. It had been
So
October.
August 1st would be
Yeah,
the due
August
date.
1st is their date. So
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve changing the cutoff date to August 1st and accepting the recommendations on the date eligibility changes from the wellness committee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve both the August 1st cutoff for new hires to participate in the wellness program and to accept their recommendations regarding date eligibility changes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry about the confusion there.
Okay, next up, Jane. Discuss decommissioning and road use agreements.
Jane Simpson. Start out with a question. Do you believe that you have been transparent on the whole wind turbine project? So is meeting with a lawyer separately, do you feel like that's being transparent? Like just one person meeting and another person meeting, do you feel like that's being transparent?
Well, if that was the way it was done, but it isn't done like that, everybody has this misconception. Basically, there's a contact person, but all three of us receive all the information at the same time, as well as some of the information is shared back to JD, discussed with him, because he has a lot broader detailed knowledge of certain of the questions that come up.
So it can be a Zoom meeting? I mean, yeah, it seems like
No,
JD should be at that meeting.
It can't be a Zoom meeting with the three of us, otherwise it would have to be in closed session according to the lawyers, or it'd be a public meeting. So JD is involved in his aspect. There's a point person that receives the information, but we all three receive it at the same time. So that therefore all three of us can comment back on each of the questions that comes forth from the legal counsel that is helping work on these processes. Does that make sense?
Kind of, although.
Who's left out of it is the public at all. There's no
Yeah.
public interaction.
And
Well,
then,
you know
and then
what?
we don't know, I mean, do the people that aren't there know every detail that you've talked about, or are there some details that don't get shared?
There's no talking, it's been by email. So everything is shared.
Noted.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So that's what your meetings are, is email, they won't be in person.
I haven't yet had any meetings in person, no.
You don't expect to?
I don't have any idea. I'm letting the lawyers, they are the ones that are leading us the way, leading me anyway. So is there going to be a change? I don't have any idea, Jane.
There was, what was kind of interesting was one week at the Board of Supervisor meeting, Alan said Jacob can meet with the lawyer on road use, and either Chuck or Al meet with decommissioning. And by the next meeting, it was as if that had never been said. And it's like, Chuck's gonna do this,
I
Al's
just
gonna
want
do
to
this.
speak up to that right now and clear the air. If you remember right, Jacob said he did not want to do that. So we tossed it back into another week's discussion. Lawyers recommended certain things, so we went back to what they recommended. And now I think it's probably even better done the way it is now, because when I receive an email, I believe that Jacob is receiving the same email at the same time and Chuck is at the same time. And we're not corresponding between the three of us, but we're able to share our thoughts back individually to the lawyer. So there is no one person, so to speak. So
Yeah, that's good to
there's
hear.
there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and I hope that everybody can understand that nobody is trying to do anyone any harm. It's just we're doing what the lawyers recommend is best.
When I talked to, once this week, I did talk to Brownell, and I said that I wanted to know everything and anything that would happen. She said, that's when she said she would send all emails
Yep.
at the same time. So I think
Yep. Our goal is not for Jacob and Chuck and I not to respond back to everybody. If we have something that we have a concern on, then we send a note to Maria. That way there is no crossover or misconception that there's a violation of an open meeting rule. So it's very complicated, Jane, and I'm sorry it seems so complicated from the outside, but you got to be on the inside trying to adhere by all these rules that we're faced with because of worries and concerns and making sure it's done correctly with the proper legal counsel. JD is doing everything he can, but he has certain guidelines that he has to follow by. So can I sit down and talk to you about this? No, I'm told not to say anything. So I don't mean to ignore you. I wish I could come over here and sit and talk to you all day about these things, but it can't be like that because we have found in the past people misrepresent words. They take words out of context, out of print. They take thoughts and twist them and they make problems. And it's really complicated. The lawyers have suggested to us that we not discuss this in open meetings unless it's something that when it comes time to final discussion.
Well, I talked to her about it as far as something that's a strategy to keep us legally safe from being hurt by energy trying to sue us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I didn't gather that when I talked to her. I gathered that, yeah, we could do a public meeting, we could do it this way, try to be more efficient, maybe more fast. That's what I got from it, speed. And speed is not that, I mean, doing it right is more important than how fast you do it. So, and I do think the public should have, before, and I keep trying to read this, understand this in these emails, whenever something is kind of edited out, however, and then send it on to the energy to look at, that would be before the public would see it, which makes zero sense to me. I mean, they have less,
I would
they're vendors.
share that with Maria, Jacob.
They're
That's all I
vendors
can-
in our county,
Yeah.
and they don't live here, they don't operate here, so I don't agree with that at all, and I don't. And again, Maria and all that is good work, working on things, but she works for us, does what we want. She's not writing this in her views, it's whatever we want as a county. She's an attorney working for Page County.
She is, but she has a level of expertise that none of us have. None of us have worked on wind prior to this. She's worked on wind all over Iowa. So
But all she says to me is, what do you want? And then you can throw it at her, and she can say, well, I've experienced this or experienced that, that's where you're getting some good out of it, but again, I do not agree with, anything being sent to energy before the public has any idea what's happening. they had no seat at the table other than they're just like, no more valuable than the public that lives here, is what I'm saying.
They have a seat at the table. They elected you, they elected me, they elected him.
And Energy elected you?
No, the public did.
Yeah,
So
they
the
get
public
to
has
come.
a seat at this table because we represent Page County's,
So why
all
would
of
M
Page County's.
Energy, why would M Energy get
Huh?
to, why would M Energy get to see the agreement?
They don't have a seat at the table.
Why do they get to see it before?
Because the agreement's between them. Eventually, they're gonna see it. Eventually.
And the citizens of the county, this agreement is written to protect them and their assets. So I mean,
The
they're-
citizens of the county are not, the citizens of the county are having the agreements negotiated because they elected you, they elected me, and they elected him.
But it's in public, it's all public done, everything we do is public.
Yeah,
Only
that's
very
true.
specific
But when we
things.
have threats of litigation, which we've had
By them.
from both, by them, by Page County Horizons, it's a mess.
For probably not being transparent, so why would we be open and
No,
public
their
at our meetings?
transparency, that's BS.
Well, again, if we allow the salesman to see the
BS.
plan before the people, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, sorry, it doesn't make sense to you and
It's
and a
not
few
right.
others, but it's the way it's being
And
done.
these are public
Yeah,
meetings and
correct.
public topics, so.
Jane, any other?
So when we talked to JD once, and we had questions on the ordinance, he would have items that say that's legal. I don't know the answer to that. Is the lawyer mostly talking about legalities, or you feel like she actually has,
She works with the ordinance that we developed
right?
3 years ago, whenever that was, 4 years ago now, 3 years ago. She works with that. She works with the guidelines and the way the ordinance is set up with the instructions from us. We had some specific points that we were concerned about in the road use agreement, for instance, that I was concerned about. So she takes that and then she'll ask JD some technical questions. But she's still the one that puts everything together with input from JD, but his involvement isn't at the point that we are the ones that still have to look it over and make sure that it sounds like what we want it to be. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
You can ask JD all the questions you want. If he wants to answer them, that's going to be up to him. I would recommend that he probably has some that he can answer and some he can't, Jane. I mean, it's like everything else, we're still working through this process, just began, as a matter of fact, Friday. So do we know much? No.
Now, do you feel like there's a hurry to get the decommissioning and road use agreements passed before serious issues are dealt with? That, that won't allow,
I'm not sure what.
well, the turbines in question that are very questionable in the process, in the project. Is there really a need to be hurrying on the decommissioning and the road use agreement if these things haven't even been dealt with?
I'm not sure.
Oh, let's say the gas line with the turbines really close to the gas line.
I
And
don't know, maybe.
nothing will go on ahead until
I'm not
that's,
going to say anything about the gas line because as of yet, I have not seen anything written or any concerns from the gas line company to the county. There doesn't appear to be any specifics that I'm aware of. I know that it's been handled in other projects. I've heard of instances where it's been handled, but I'm not going to repeat that because I don't have it verbatim. So I'm not going to say, Jane.
I think they're waiting for
There's-
Invenergy to get in
There's
touch
been
with
a
them.
lot of questions, been a lot of concerns, but I don't feel that putting everything on delay for the world to be perfect is going to fix anything. This is a project that was started. John, Chuck, and I felt this was a very good project, that we want to get an ordinance started, and I'm still believing that I want to see this project continue. So that's my view.
So you wrote the ordinance for this project?
He didn't say that. He did not say that.
You know,
You just kind of what you said.
well, twist words however we
I'm
want
not trying to twist it. You
I'm
said you
just
wrote it for
saying,
this project.
when we wrote the ordinance, it was to prevent we did not want a wind energy company coming into the county without an ordinance in place. And at that time, they were starting to look at a process. Another company was. And we felt at that time that we needed an ordinance in place, and we developed one. And we're still promoting that. I'm still promoting that. Whether Jacob is or Chuck is, I'm still in favor of this wind project.
I think that I've heard that this gas line company, it took a long time for the project to happen. In one area in Missouri, it took a year. In another area, it took 2 years because of the agreements and what had to do between Invenergy or whatever maybe it was Shinaska, whatever the company was. So, you know, actually there's no hurry to get these agreements done unless, you know, the only thing I could think it might be is Invenergy wants you to get them approved and signed before Alan is out. That seems like
I don't know.
what it looks like to me.
I've been ready to go on this since we first saw the plans back in one of the first plans was presented. So.
But you do want to get it right, you've said.
Want to make sure it's done correctly, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know if I was having trouble with my internet, so I don't know if my email got to you all.
Yep.
Have you found anything?
I sent it to Maria. I sent your email to Maria. I haven't had a chance to read the link yet. I was trying.
I read through it, yes. Yeah, I think that was, I can't remember the state.
Did it look like this?
Yeah.
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 I just really like how they've done it professionally.
New York.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And,
No.
you know, wind turbines are wind turbines, whether they're in New York or Iowa or
Right.
wherever it is. And I'm just pretty sure there's been decommissioning done. So they would have actual numbers if you could get a hold of them. I'm not sure how easy it is to get a hold of them.
Well, and that's one of the great sources of Maria Brownell with Ehlers and Cooney has, is since they've worked on so many projects, they know they know where the costs are, what the project costs are as far as to decommission. They have every year it changes because, you know, we keep having changes and updates in what is going on with the different processes of decommissioning. So she has even a greater amount of knowledge within the state and from within the Midwest. So.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Because we had somebody come to our house that works on serious incidents with turbines. And I asked him some of those questions and he said over $1 million to decommission a turbine. So I haven't seen any figures by Invenergy, actual figures.
I haven't either.
So I just would like you to be kind of ahead of them. Well, thank you for your time.
You bet. Thanks, Shane.
JD, that you've sent us some stuff, some other example road views. That one I read through a while back, and I talked to Maria about that. If you don't mind, you still have that, you can send that to her. And I think, well, either you got both of them, that one you sent, it's been a few months ago, I read through it. It's a good idea. I was gonna send it, if you want to send it to her. But they had seemed to have more teeth to it if somebody didn't obey the rules.
Did you read everything she sent back to us on? We don't want to discuss it, but did you get everything okay?
I did.
Were you able to read through and how they had the comments and the concerns and the?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item up is to discuss approved courthouse lawn use application for Sonriser's popcorn. They are wanting to utilize the courthouse during the band jamboree, and I'm really bad. That's first weekend of, October 1st, 22, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Brenda Martin has filled out the request, and I'll put it up to.
The request complete.
I believe so.
Okay.
It's a little different form than what we usually have, but it's got all the applicables. Looks like all the right things on that.
I make a motion, we approve the application from Sonriser as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor to approve this application?
Aye. Sorry, jumping the gun.
Sorry. Okay. To take care of letting them know and letting Gene know. Okay. Okay, next item would be board communication. Jacob?
I'm going tomorrow to Council Bluffs. If now, I didn't have anything last week, though.
What's that, juvenile?
Juvenile. But I didn't have anything that up to my mind.
How'd your,
There is a
how'd your
Hungry
Hungry
Canyons.
Canyons, yes.
It went good. That was, I lose track of all my days. Was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
I think that was 2, well, a week and a half.
Yeah, it went well, and it was mostly a tour, looking at things, some of it in Page County, up in Montgomery County. Something else that's, the EMS
Mhm.
levy situation, or what's that
Mhm.
called, the bond, or pass a levy, tax levy, but, there's a meeting tonight, I might attend on that, and listen about that a little more.
Did you meet with Matt?
I did,
So,
yeah, a couple days ago. So just learning more about that, trying to understand it all the way. One, and that would be a levy being passed to raise money for emergency services.
Right,
things like that.
correct,
That's
mainly for
what
all the
we're
rural,
talking about, for ambulance service, basically.
yeah,
Studying that.
yeah. Yeah, I met with him last week. It's rather a burden for the hospitals to absorb these costs. And I definitely agree that I hate to see it affect our levy any, but on the other hand, I would sure hate for somebody in rural areas to suffer from the impact of not having the services. It's really fascinating visiting with Matt to learn about all the training that will come in. These dollars will be broken into all the different agencies, more training. And some of the reasons why they sometimes have shortage of volunteers is because people feel like they're not given adequate training to do their job. So sometimes we struggle a little bit with ambulance drivers and EMS personnel in the smaller communities because of lack of knowledge, I guess you could say. And I find that really was really good discussion with he and Kurt Hensdorf the other day, and with Ty Davison. You know, it would be, you know, I can relate. I have a customer at the restaurant because they live outside of town about 6 or 7 miles, and she'd had some health conditions, and if the ambulance service would have been there in a short amount of time, she might not be here today. And if we lose that availability for rural areas, it would really be tough. You know, it would really be tough. You know, I related a story when I was 12, I broke a leg, and the vehicle that showed up was the part-time undertaker and part-time ambulance driver, and that was quite an experience to have the undertaker come pick me up out of the field with a broken leg. It's funny now, Jacob, it wasn't funny that, you know, and, you know, I don't think people can relate back. We've lived in this time of modern conveniences so long now, we forget to remember what it used to be like. You know, you probably, Jacob, you might not even, you're young enough, you might not remember when the ambulance or the funeral homes were the major.
The hearses were the ambulances.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a very viable concern of mine for people that live in the country to have good, adequate service and to have properly trained people. So
Trying to do it right and balance it all out, how to make a make it all work and how much money and
And the beauty of this whole thing is that, unlike windmills and solar power that can't be put to a referendum, this can be put to a vote of people, and they can choose whether they want to
Yeah.
belly up to the levy bar or not.
Yeah.
It's a quality of life issue. You know, the last audit we did on law enforcement in the county, again, I want to remind folks of the numbers. Page County in 30 years has lost 10% of its population, half of that in the last 10. And when we did our last audit, I believe in 2017, or 18, I can't remember. The county was subsidizing law enforcement. We were charging rural residents 30 cents on every dollar that it cost us. That's what the audit showed 4 years ago. And the ambulance thing is becoming that for the city of Shenandoah and for the Clarinda service. You know, they're getting calls out of town. And it's just not, number one, in my view, it's not fair. It's not fairly distributed. But again, the beauty is the public can go to the polls and say, I like this idea or I don't like this idea. And then it's.
we would have choice of what amount of a levy would be put to the, you know, the maximum.
Yeah, the maximum, I think 75 cents, which if you're gonna levy it, I don't know why you wouldn't just go the max.
When something new you're testing and how it's handled, the government involved money is never the best situation. The private, I think they're looking for help.
Yeah, but it's not the government gonna run these services. You got Shenandoah and Clarinda hospitals. I have faith that they're gonna be good stewards of our dollars.
Yeah, because the dollars get split up in between each of the each of the.
I'm trying to
individual-
learn exactly. I don't
Yeah.
know that I fully understand it,
So
but
you know what that means?
I'm gonna go to it tonight, but the Clarinda Hospital Board, I've talked to several of them, and they're not.
Oh, they're not in favor, because they can levy as a municipal hospital, they can levy. And quite frankly,
Trying to learn the whole situation here. You got multiple factors going on. Then there's, like Shenandoah, who's having to run their ambulances down out of city limits, which is a burden on Shenandoah's kind of picking up the tab. But if we do a county levy, and then the county's raising hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for us, then if they're in Villisca and they're in wherever, Newmarket, all our neighbors, it's the same thing. It's kind of the same thing's happening again on a bigger scale. It's just a lot to figure out. I'm not against having a good ambulance service, so, and making sure it's able to go everywhere fast. Just trying to learn all the, it's a pretty big, it was 75 cents doesn't sound like a lot, but when you put it to the,
600 grand a year.
yeah, it's quite a few dollars. So it's trying to think about that a little bit and then put it to people. So anyway, I'm just trying to learn right now.
But
Tonight
again,
I'm gonna learn a little more, I guess.
I really like our role in this. Our role is to say, we're gonna put a ballot initiative, or we're not gonna put a ballot initiative, and the rest is up to the public.
And how much would be the biggest thing? Because I don't mind it going to the ballot maybe, but how much goes, you can always add another 25 cents the next year, next 6 months later, you could, if it worked out great. I'm still trying to figure all that out, but that's tonight. I'm gonna learn a little more about that tonight.
And you're set up to go Thursday to the SWIPCO.
I didn't set anything up. Am I supposed to?
I told them you would be
No.
there, so unless I told them I would be, so you're planning on it still?
Thursday, I think.
You've got the card, okay?
What card?
I gave you a card.
That's probably,
That's there.
oh, right here, this card.
Yeah, that card.
A lot of cards and
Right
papers, this
there.
one, okay.
That one right there.
Yeah, that
Okay.
tells me when, where to go. Yep.
I don't think I have anything new, because you're gonna have that. I can't remember in the last 2 weeks what I did. Anything you?
I had Zion last Monday, met with Matt Sells on Monday. That was the only meeting that we had. Executive Council of the EMA had interviews yesterday morning in Shenandoah. I'd say the Executive Council, the Executive Search Committee, which comprised of the police chiefs and fire chiefs of Shan, Clarinda, and the sheriff and myself. And the EMA commission will meet on Thursday evening at 7 here. We'll have a candidate to interview for the whole board and a potential hire.
So started out with 6 and you're about down to 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Thursday night, there should be a announcement somewhere Thursday night. Or-
Yeah, we'll get an agenda out and then
Okay.
potentially go into closed session interview.
I had the EMS meeting with Matt and group. Don't have West Central this month. Albanzi is next week, as far as I know. I don't think I had anything else in the last 10 days.
Next week. Next week's pretty busy, let's see. Mental health meeting on Monday. 4th Judicial District on Wednesday.
Okay. Approved claims. Got it from you, Jacob.
Just,
Okay. Okay. Keep working on those.
Christie, we got a check from the insurance company on our EMA claim. Did I just take this to the treasurer?
Signature. Canvas.
Sorry. So you think treasurer?
What is for? How much should we get?
16,000
And this was for the,
for the damage on the communication tower, right? Tower.
right.
And it's not related to this, but they're having some paging problems again last night and this morning. But Motorola is either here or on their way this morning.
Or does that need to go to the auditors first so they can put that in with the insurance claim that was made and then let them?
Yeah,
I would think.
yeah. I will have to see.
Yeah. I didn't look, where did that come from? Which?
ICAP.
Which ICAP? Yeah.
Okay, well, Sedgwick, the envelope was Sedgwick, but
Okay.
it's their property.
Okay.
Out of Detroit. See that sign? That pipeline sign. In 1973, I walked from Salt Lake, Missouri, to Warren, Illinois, painting the sign.
Oh, really?
That's 1973, $5.35.
That was pretty good page, pretty good
And
wages.
I was getting 60 hours a week.
I was getting $1.70 an hour working at the college campus. So you were really sticking it to people.
Yeah, made a lot of
Yeah.
buildings.
That ties in with the meeting that they had last night about training that Todd was at last night. And I got some sub-training on the pipeline risk Alliant, and I'm trying to think who the other two companies that were there. But it was the one that all of us had received an invite on, but it was more for first responders.
Oh, yeah.
And it was pretty informational. So
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Was it good?
food was good, wasn't it, Todd?
Where'd that come from? Your place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
I didn't see anybody nodding off before I left, but I left pretty early. How late did it go?
About 7:03.
Oh, that's not too bad then. No. So.
I think I'm good. We can do it. Sign a couple more things. We can do it. if you want. Okay.
Okay. Motion to approve claims.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, minutes.
Okay.
Just Hepburn deal with some,
Which one?
Yeah, where they're signing off
we have to sign some on that.
Did I miss one?
the Hepburn paperwork.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
Sorry,
we have
I
to-
didn't
I don't
see
think
that.
we have to sign it. I think it's just an FYI.
That was just filed, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
on them.
Dissolution.
Yeah, okay. Okay, claims have been approved, minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody want to adjourn?
Oh, yeah. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.